This is J. Krishnamurti's 11th discussion with students in Malibu, California, 1969.
You mentioned once or twice silence and looking at silence without an observer. Now, could you perhaps tell us what the observer is with regard to silence? How can there be an observer in looking at silence?
How would you answer this chap's question before we go to the other? He's asking, how is one to keep the mind empty and when communication is necessary, use words and not be trapped by those words? Isn't that it? That's what you're asking, isn't it? So you please, let's discuss it. Words are necessary, obviously, to communicate. And yet not be trapped by words, formulas, conclusions.
Or perhaps he was saying, sir, that the memory of what is said here becomes a sort of dialogue which continues in his thoughts after he's left here, and that these thoughts are like other thoughts. Is this what you were saying?
Yeah, sort of.
The memory of what was said here becomes another system, another series of thoughts.
Yeah.
And your words go through his head. He asks himself whether he's looking at things with or without an observer, and so on. And the preoccupation of what has taken place here becomes, in effect, a new observer. Is this what he's saying?
You have it.
I think all of us...
So do we act through words? Or a formula? I have a formula, or one has a formula, and according to that formula, one acts. Is that it? I hear a sentence that was said here the other day, and I go on repeating it and try to approximate my action to that. Is that it? That's it.
That's it.
More. That's it. That is, making action conform to the conclusion of the formula. Is that right?
Yeah. And it's almost as if even trying not to have a conclusion can become
I mean,
a conclusion.
wait, yes, of course, that's obvious.
We weigh things with words, set a system of value with words.
Why is one a slave to words? He is a communist, and that's the end of it. Why? Why is one a slave to words?
Gives us a sense of certainty.
Explore it. So go, as we said here the other day, we're learning, right?
It's the only action we know.
No, we don't come to any conclusion yet. why am I, or why are you, a slave to words?
Isn't it a sort of freezing of awareness of things into, it's like stopping a camera at one particular moment. So
I want to go a little bit deeper than mere explanation. You're giving me an explanation. I want to find out why I'm caught in a trap of words. Why?
Certain words trigger certain responses.
Responses and all the rest of it. Why does this process go on all the time?
You don't know any other way.
No,
The mind is its still.
no. So you see,
kind of laziness, isn't it?
It's a habit.
What do you
look,
mean
sir,
when you say
I
we are
form a
caught in-
conclusion. I come to a certain understanding or a verbal clarity, and according to that, I act. Right? There is the conclusion, the formula, and the action. Two separate things, right?
Yes, there's conflict immediately.
Don't bring in conflict here. That is the fact. A conclusion, an ideology, an idea, all made up of words, right? And an action according to that. No? Even in technology, science, or any of that, there is a vast amount of knowledge, and according to that knowledge, I build, I act, I construct, I put together, right? In the same way, I have certain series of conclusions, and according to that, I behave. Or I act in approximation to that, or in relation to that, or in conformity to that. Right?
Yes.
Why does this go on all the time? The conclusion, the formula, everything is the word, a series of words, a series of thoughts, a series of ideas, and so on. There they are. And action is to bridge the reality to that. Right?
Implement that and live it.
Now, why?
Well,
No, go slow. You know nothing. Start as though you know nothing. So you can think of it anew.
We repeat a pattern.
Why? Why?
It's infinitely easier for
Huh?
our minds to refer to the previously
I understand.
established.
But that you're explaining. Go a little deeper than that. You're explaining again with words. I want to find out what is the raison d'être. Why am I doing this all the time in my life?
Because deep down, we still believe in in analysis as being the way of doing things. If we didn't believe in analysis, then we wouldn't be using this whole series of life. If we really did believe in it.
Is that the result of analysis? I analyze, come to a conclusion.
It's the result of believing that analysis is the way of doing something.
in technical matters, it works very well, and we have to do that. So who's to say where a technical matter ends and where a psychological matter starts? And so we also do it in relationship, because it works very well in technical matters. We can't build a house otherwise, or a bridge, or language, or a painting.
Is there also another side of this energy?
The one?
Is there another side to it, which would be that are we frightened of something we cannot put into words? Words are the concrete.
You are saying, are you, sir, that if we hadn't conclusion, we would be frightened?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes.
So words act as a security, safety.
Exactly.
Hmm? And the mind wants to be safe all the time. Secure. Follow the established rule. Follow the line.
We have to live in environment and act upon environment, and therefore we have to assess environment. And the only way we can assess environment is through memory. And there's no sharp dividing line between physical environment and psychological environment. So we naturally do this.
Is that all? Is that the reason why words have become so important? American. American way of life. The European, the Hindu, the Catholic, the communist. Words, words, words.
So it's much more than a word, because for
The
instance,
association.
sometimes the family acts, but we
Yeah.
don't say the family and then feel emotional about it. We act with regard to the family in given circumstances.
The word is
So it's
just...
not because we name it that it's important.
No, sir. Look.
We act to defend a brother or an aunt or a father,
No, sir, look, sir.
in business or otherwise.
I consider I have an image of what a Brahmin should be or is, and according to that word, with this symbol, the image, the association, all that,
Yes.
I am proud to be that.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. But the word describes a great many prejudices. So that it isn't that the prejudices come because of the word. The word is simply a label under which the whole merchandise exists.
I wonder.
Some people have a different word for it.
Yeah, word doesn't matter, sir. If there was no verbal structure or image or symbol
Yes, sir.
to establish, to pin down my prejudice as an American, so and so, would I have that?
Are you saying, sir, that the Brahmin only acts with prejudice when he thinks the word Brahmin? Or do you think that the Brahmin acts with prejudice and as a Brahmin simply because he's been conditioned that way?
Yeah.
And the word Brahmin is the word which he gives to the whole structure.
That's what I mean.
But even if he's not consciously thinking the word, the structure
Do
is
look
acting.
at it, sir. Do look at it. Explore it a little bit.
Could the structure have existed without the word?
How can
Of course.
How can it
The
exist?
structure is a historical social affair to which the word was given. Many different words were given to it. Many different words. It's like saying, would Americanism exist without the word America? Of course it would. It's geographical, it's historical, it's economic, it's social. It's
I don't think so. Do go slowly, sir. Don't assert anything.
Say on a desert island.
No. Please don't.
You would establish known things very rapidly. You would say, oh, that's...
Yes. But why do we do this?
It's an extension of the same thing.
You're saying
It
that all
seems
the...
that very often words become objects in themselves. Like if there's a man that you're talking to, you may talk to him and try and establish communication, but the minute the word like communist is inserted there, all of a sudden all these images pop up and he's a bad man who should be gotten rid of. So words themselves are objects which trigger emotional and
Yes, sir, I know this, I know this.
So it's not just that the word communist stands for something.
Is,
Communist is something in itself.
understand, sir.
But you have a man like Jean-Paul Sartre who acts in every respect as if he were a communist with regard to any international crisis, and yet he absolutely affirms that he's not a communist. Therefore, to him, the word has no meaning, but the structure operates. He has the same structure as the communist,
I
but
know,
the word
sir,
is not
but
important.
First he must have come to a conclusion, and the conclusion is the word. Instead of drawing on a piece of paper a design, the words create a design in my mind of what a communist should be or is, and according to that design I accept or reject. Right, sir? What do you say?
I think so, because with the other example too, that you mentioned that American as a word meant something, but I would think that it meant something quite different from what the reality of America is. That if you looked at America, the word American as we know it, with the verbal associations, doesn't describe it at all. It's a superimposition of all sorts of other things. So I must say, I would think that the word does, to that extent, create the structure, or our idea of the structure.
What is the importance of a word?
So we find in India many people who say, oh, I'm not a Hindu anymore, but they go around with the mark. They do all these things. So the word has obviously disappeared. But the whole structure is there.
Sir, no, sir.
The structure is there.
No.
The rights.
They say that they don't.
Don't.
But they are Hindus.
No, I'm just asking, what's the importance of a word?
Communication.
To communicate. What am I communicating?
Ideas and images.
Huh? Ideas, huh?
I think I know.
Beliefs.
I know, I don't know, I have my belief, my conclusion, my prejudices, I assert, all that. What?
Don't words remove things from ourselves? Like if I can set up a series of words and act on them, then I'm sure how the action is going to come out, or as a plan, or a belief for how it's going to come out. And all this removes it from me. So I don't have to be intimately involved with it. It forms a space between me and what's happening.
So is memory, a lot of words. Go, huh? I had an experience yesterday. I translated it into pleasure and pain, and stored it up as pleasure or stored it up as pain, which is memory. Right? Is memory a series of words?
It's not only words, is it?
Definitely not. I can think of walking on the beach and the sea and the sky. The color comes to me, the smell of the sea, the feel of the sand under my feet, without ever saying a single word to myself. I can evoke, for instance, sex, sexual evocation, which is very strong in most people's lives. You don't say, this now is sex that I'm going to re-chew. You simply have the image of the person, you have the memory of the experience.
That means what?
And
Which means what?
The word might come quite as a surprise if somebody afterwards said, you're thinking of sex, they might be quite surprised. Because
the words are superimposed over something.
That's what you were saying.
Memory is image. Memory is reliving of experience.
Well, doesn't he mean to include that in when
If he
says
means
word?
that by words, then I understand what
There
he's
is
saying.
a sort of feedback from the word. It is translated, the image is translated into a word that becomes such a strong symbol that it in turn colors the memory that it came from.
The word can unleash all that. What do you mean by words? Huh?
I don't know, sir. He raised it, and you all agreed this is what he meant. I'm just asking. Word.
A word is a sound which is written and which is used in language. Do you mean it in that respect, sir?
That, and a word that has a special meaning, which is common to both of us, which has a referent,
In other words, you mean a unit of language.
unit of language, and also the image that language evokes, the associations that word brings as
Yes,
awakens.
Yes. Yes.
And word is to go, and all that. So why is the mind slave to it all? Or is the mind the word, the symbol, the image?
You mean the word is a revelation of the mind? Of what we are? Revealed ourselves?
The way you speak reveals your mind, doesn't it? Not your mind, I'm saying my mind. Reveals the mind. And the word is part of the mind, isn't it? Which is thought. Is there thought without the word? The word, the symbol, the image, the association of...
What do you mean by the words? Huh? Do you mean the full memory? Do you mean the thinking of the beach and of the blue sky? Is that what you mean when you say word? Or do you mean the unit of language, beach?
All that, the unit of language as well as the feeling that the sand under your feet.
And are you saying that without the word beach, it would be impossible to have that memory of the sand under one's feet?
I don't say that.
I see.
I don't say that.
That's
I'm
what I was-
asking,
yes,
sir,
yes.
is there thought without the word, without the symbol, without the image?
Yes, there is.
Fa-
Without
Don't
any
be
image
so
at all,
definite,
you
sir.
cannot separate image and word.
Without the words. Huh?
Without the image is harder than without the word.
If by word you include all memory, of course there's no thought without memory.
That's what I'm trying. After all, memory is a series of words.
No, sir.
Or images.
Huh?
No, sir. Cats have memory and they have no words.
No, not cats. I don't leave
No,
it.
sir, but memory is more than simply sounds. It really is, sir. It is more
No,
than
I
just
don't.
the words.
You say so. I don't know anything about it. I want to look. I want to find out.
There surely are wordless memories that we've all had at some point.
But aren't all memories named?
Not necessarily. A child has memories long before it starts to talk. It remembers its father and mother. It remembers how to get food.
So that's a... No, it has been associated with the child has associated the mother and the father, and then says mother and father. It is association. It is. There's no. Now, sir, just a minute. What is action? Let's approach it around the other way. Action is the doing, right? Moving
Action
this
is-
from here to there, action.
That's right, yes.
Now, what is the relationship of the word to action? The word, the image, the idea, the ideology, the experience, the whole linguistic, as well as the things associated with that word. What's the relationship between the doing?
Between singing and the word singing.
No, I just want to use these two words. Don't put it, if you don't mind. The doing and the word. The word being the formula, the conclusion, the knowledge.
The mental picture. The mental picture that you had.
The mental, that's the image, the mental picture, all that. What's the relationship between it?
It comes either before or after, but never right during the action.
Now it's the action is
It motivates the action.
yeah, it guides it.
There's no relationship at all between the two.
Now
How do you act, sir?
form a picture to represent the situation.
Huh?
Then use that as a guide.
Be simple, sir. You're going to get in the car and go back to Ohio, right? That's an act. What is that? What is that act based on? What is it all about? You follow? What is action, sir?
When you say that you want, when you ask a question and you say you don't want an explanation, are you asking for action?
Isn't action putting thought to work?
Action is living.
Thought must come first, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's integration.
Every moment of being alive is action.
No, sir, no, sir, no, sir. Don't put it off that way. I don't know what action is.
Reaction.
This is action, it's working.
Isn't thought an interruption?
Could we go into relationships sometime?
Stick to these. Stick to
I know, but I'm not, because this has been a problem all the time, because I'm looking at relationship with my old ideas, and so and it's really confusing me.
When you see a child drowning, and you jump in, that's an action. Is there a verbal conclusion and act according to that conclusion? Whether that conclusion is unconscious or conscious or so-called spontaneous?
A situation.
There's no conclusion in the sense that it's the same as jumping out of the way of a bus when you see a bus coming at you.
Go into it, sir. Go. What is that based on? Memory.
Intelligence.
Huh? No. Don't you see? You're going back to
the child. Saving the child. You say, what is that based on?
Is there any action which is not premeditated?
Eating.
Jumping for a child.
How quick you people are. Replies.
Well, it seems to me if there's a child drowning, you don't sit there and think, well, can I swim? Or is there water in the pool? Or something? It's just all there,
Well, you remember it. You remember this
As
circumstance.
a child and not a log bobbing in the water. So the mind is already
Child runs,
images,
you say,
reference,
and then
reference.
immediately you run.
The mind has done something already, even though one acts.
And that's based on some certain experience, because a child, lots of times, I can't.
Have you done anything so instantly in which thought has not come into being? Thought being the word. For the moment, we'll use that. Thought, the conclusion, the premeditated, and so on. Have you done anything so complete in which thought has not entered?
I heard a noise. I heard a loud noise. Turn around.
Correct.
Start.
Yes, right.
Right, and then what?
Then thought begins to name what just happened.
Thought replaces action.
I think perhaps you may be speaking about two kinds of thoughts.
I don't know what I'm speaking
Because
about.
if you see somebody and you know who it is, would you say that's thought?
Of course it is.
I see.
The memory, I recognize you,
Would you say language is thought? Just talking?
otherwise how could I talk?
Because quite often you've said, during all this discussion, there hasn't been one thought.
No, we leave that.
So
That's
therefore I think
we-
that you use
that's
the
a
word
different
thought
thing, sir.
in different ways, and I'd like to know how you're using it now.
Is what we're talking about impressions that have come through experience? Everything, no matter if it's words, if it's images, if it's smells, if it's anything. Impressions.
All right, let me put it differently again. Is love a word? Love, a word which is with which is associated the image, the pleasure, the pain, the word. All that is love a word?
No.
If it were a word, it would seem that it would be based on selfishness, possessiveness.
No, sir, no, sir.
Because it would
If love is the result of thought, thought, the word, then you can cultivate it, can't you? Make it stronger, weaker, all the rest
There are
of it.
varieties.
Go on, sir, I don't know.
what we generally cultivate is sensation.
I want to tell you that I ask you to look at that mountain. Wait. Use a series of words to make you do something, right? Those words are put together by thought in order to convey to you the idea, please look at that hill. Word is necessary for communication, right? What are we talking about, may I ask?
Word is necessary for communication.
Obviously, word is necessary for communication.
Obviously, that's what you said.
Is the word necessary to act?
Well, we can see instances where it isn't.
There are rare instances, I think of it.
Well, but then it isn't. Then it isn't necessary to act.
Okay, but why do we do it then? Why is almost all of our actions based on first having a thought, an image, a conclusion, a belief, an idea, a goal, and then acting on
As
it?
Mr. Lambert pointed out earlier, he said we do this because we want to be sure of our actions. We are afraid of not being sure, not being safe. Therefore, conclusion helps us to act safely, right?
I find sort of a connotation on the, like action is a good thing and thought is a bad thing.
No,
Sort of
no,
values on it,
Those are just conclusions, they have no meaning. So I have a conclusion, and according to that I act in order to be safe. Right?
By safety, you mean to feel that you're in control of the
Safe.
situation or on familiar ground?
No, safety, security. So the mind doesn't wander all over the place, get lost, and, fear. Not doing the right thing. Not being respectable, being looked down on society, not being able to conform, and all the rest of it. Right? So there is a conclusion according to which I act, right? In order to see that action doesn't give me some kind of misery, some kind of fear, some kind of lead me to some kind of disaster.
Yes.
Sometimes, for example, when you're by yourself and you're not doing anything and you have nothing to do, you're overcome by a certain loneliness or something. Now, as soon as you can project an idea, well, I will do this, I'll go to the movie or something, that anxious state ceases. And it's not the going to the movie that alleviates it, it's the idea that I will go. You know what you're going to do an hour from now or a half an hour from now or something. So the thought itself seems to be a drug or what. It does something to take you out of a state that you don't want to be in.
You rely on it.
Yeah, it's not just the act that the thought represents, it's the thought. The thought changes the state. As soon as I know what I'm going to do, well, then the anxiety's gone, even though I'm not doing what I'm thinking about.
Same when a person comes up and you don't know who he is, and you're a little bit uneasy and you're dealing with him. He says, "Oh, I'm a communist." Well, great. Now I can put all these names and labels on him, and I know just how to deal with it. So in both cases, it seems that thought is acting to relieve this.
So that's fairly clear, isn't it? There is a conclusion. In order, they act as a guide to action. Because without guide, without rails, I might go off. Right? And so there is a danger in that. Let's stick to that for a little while. So I need a conclusion in order to act safely, in order not to have danger, right? In order to avoid danger, in order to avoid suffering, right? Does it really help me to avoid danger?
Creates anxiety.
Huh?
Creates anxiety as you're trying to avoid it. You get uncomfortable.
Go into it, so find out. I have concluded that I am an American. For whatever geographical reasons are, I've concluded. And according to that image of an American, I am acting, hoping thereby that I will live in safety, avoiding danger, avoiding every kind of peril, in which is involved egotism, the feeling that I am expanded with all of America, pride, all that's involved in that conclusion, in that word. Right? Does that give me safety?
Obviously no.
I don't know.
It does. Well, we're at war right now.
You are here, but they're being killed there.
But, well, we don't know if it's going to come here tomorrow, or somebody's going to drop a bomb on us. We still have the anxiety of being participants in it.
I think conclusions can make us safer.
I think that must put you in an immediate state of turmoil, because after all, if you identify yourself as an American and that's a conclusion, and you start acting on that basis, and the moment you pick up a paper and you read about what the French are doing or the Russians,
Russians,
preferably, you're immediately confronted with that danger, that threat.
I don't know if you heard the other night or last night, the Russians had been up there, all of that kind of stuff, and the Americans said, we are much more advanced than they. So you follow all that's implied in conclusions, you see. And I say to myself, is there any action without any conclusion? And yet not be dangerous. You follow? Super safety. I don't know what.
There may be no actions. I was thinking of eating. I thought that would be, but then if you ate everything you saw, you'd die.
Most people do.
If I think of us going back to how this starts, in a small child, and let's say her mother's an alcoholic and beats the child, then the first image this child's going to have of mother's big people are to watch out, fear, danger, which is sort of a self-protection. I must watch out for these people. And as they grow up, until it changes, all women fall into that category, all fathers or bears or whatever it is they're afraid of.
So, do consider this for a minute. We act according to a formula in order to preserve ourselves from any danger, live in security, right? That's what we all come to a certain point there. We haven't come to a conclusion, but we see that is involved in that. And that's how I live. And the communists live that way. The Catholics live that way. Each isolated in an island, which he thinks is, in that he is going to be secure, safe, right?
So maybe it's not it may not be the action of coming to a conclusion that is dangerous or that isn't successful all the time. It's how the conclusions are applied. We can conclude in one area when in another area.
I'm taking generally, sir. Wait.
Yes, something has emerged from what you've been saying.
Just go slowly. I want to go into a little bit. So I say to myself, I see the danger of this isolation of conclusions and so I ask myself, as this is the most dangerous way of living, is there a way of living really safely without conclusions? Because conclusions obviously lead to isolation. You conclude one thing. As an American, I conclude, as a Hindu, something else. Right? And we are at war with each other because we're isolated. So, can we live together without isolating and therefore in complete security, at peace with each other? Is that possible if we have conclusions? I don't know.
But one comes to conclusions.
And wait, no, just wait. I know one does, but we're take this, go into it. Conclusions being my conditioning, also implied in that. I am conditioned as a Catholic. You as a communist, or preferably if you want the other way. And we live in isolation, which is the most dangerous thing for both of us. And can we live together without isolation, which means without formula, without a conclusion? I don't know if I'm...
Yes.
Therefore, acting together from a state in which there are no conclusions. I wonder if I'm... Yes, I'm right. I'm inquiring, right? If love is a conclusion, then love is the most dangerous thing. It's the most destructive thing. Because it's going to separate us.
But isn't just what you said, isn't that a conclusion though?
No, it's a perception. It is not a conclusion. Conclusion is different from perception. Seeing that flower is without conclusion is one thing, and looking at that flower with a conclusion is another.
Saying love is a dangerous thing is a perception and not a conclusion.
No.
He didn't say love is a dangerous thing.
Or
If love is only thought, if love is
No, if love is a conclusion, so if we say conclusions of any kind, which are opinions, judgments, all that, we think that leads to safety. We find it doesn't lead to safety. On the contrary, it's the most destructive thing, right? If I'm a communist and you're a Catholic, we'll be at each other's throat. So can we live without conclusion? And if love is a conclusion, then it's the most destructive thing. If peace is a conclusion, it is the most destructive. So is there a way of living, right, without conclusion, without isolating all the time?
Can still be safe.
Huh?
Can still be safe.
Obviously.
Isn't that the reason we have conclusions?
No.
Give up the whole idea whether it's safe or not.
No.
That's right. The point is, it seems that this safety is contingent on if everybody else does the same thing.
No, sir. Look, sir.
Would you say here that when you say conclusion, the word assumption would be really good?
Assumption, conclusion.
Because some conclusions are scientific and they are factual.
Yeah.
So perhaps we mean assumptions.
Put it in that.
So those conclusions then would be the same as what he talks about.
No, factual
Perception.
Perception, yes.
If the perception of nationalism, say, is dangerous, and you say that we would therefore abandon it through perceiving this intelligently, can we do that as long as we are dependent on this notion of safety versus danger?
But I see whole nationalism and the structure and the nature and all the things involved in it is the most dangerous thing.
But if it's a motive of safety, aren't we?
No, it is dangerous. That's enough. I perceive it. There's no motive. The Frenchman in his little world, the American in his world, and so on. It's the most dangerous thing.
But isn't there a sort of danger within it of making a concept of safety?
No, I'm not talking of... leave all that. I'm saying any conclusion, any limitation, any formula, any... what is the word you...
Assumption.
Assumption opinion, judgment.
Perhaps
Say,
he's saying, Mary, that the avoidance of a factual danger is not a notion, but is a fact. Yes, it's not a conceptual thought, like of the avoidance of a cliff.
so can I live? I'm not thinking of safety for the moment. Can I live without a conclusion? Assumption. My prejudices, my temperament, my idiosyncrasies, the way I think so. I know, you don't know.
And our words, symbols, and images are the same thing.
Part of all that, right?
can't
So
say
this
I
whole
love you and
question
not
of
you.
word, this whole question of word is cleared up if we say that no assumption exists without a word, but factual memory does exist without a word.
Yes,
For instance, there is no
this
such
thing
thing as...
exists without a word.
Yes, but there is no such thing really as an American or a Russian, or a good man or a bad man. In these things, which are simply assumption, there is no thing at all without the word.
Yes, sir. So let's proceed from there. Can I live? Let's pursue. Can I live in daily life without any assumption, without taking a stand, a conclusion, an image, psychologically, for the moment I'm talking, not about facts and not about that exists without the wording, but that was constructed, that microphone with the word, with idea, with, all the rest of it. It's born of an idea.
Yes, yes, yes.
Therefore, a word, a design, all that's implied in that. So I'm asking myself, it is really quite important, go into research, whether I can live without a conclusion, without a formula, without assumption. Let's use what? Formula for all that?
Assumption.
All right, I don't care what you use. Assumption.
Because formulas
It doesn't
are
matter,
necessary
sir.
in technology.
Assumptions, stick to it, assumptions.
You want more than just to say, yes, I can, or no, I
Ah,
can't.
no. Oh, my God.
Realizing that these assumptions
Is it
have...
possible, sir, when the whole world lives on assumptions? Assumptions being ideas, conclusions, formulas. I say so. I'm the politician. I am the great man. I am the Noah. I am the saint, and I am the Pope. First of all, is it possible? So I never offer an opinion, right? I don't give advice under any circumstances.
Technical advice?
Wait, leave. If I go to an engineer and say, please, what am I to do with this bridge or with this house?
The bridge is falling.
He'll say, do this, and that's a different matter. Now, wait a minute. Can I live that way? And only deal with facts and not with assumptions.
Well, that's saying if someone came to me with a very serious problem and they presented it to me, such as my wife's left me and I'm lonely, what should I do? Should I say, I'm sorry, but you figure it out for yourself?
I come to you to help me to talk things over. If you say, figure it out, I'm just stuck where I am.
Tough luck, Jack.
But if I come to you and I say, look, my friend, I'm really in trouble because my wife has left me, and I begin to talk with you, and you begin to point out certain things, help me. You follow?
Yes, it's different. It's quite different.
Quite different.
So you.
But if you say, no, that she shouldn't have, you must not, and all there's a bilge, and you just help me. So what does it mean to live without assumptions? Huh?
It means we'll be very quiet for quite a while.
No, sir, it means something entirely different, doesn't it? Look, go into it, sir. Look, assumptions are waste of energy, right? Right? No?
Yes.
I don't see how one tells what is assumption and what isn't. How do you know what's a fact and what isn't?
If it's factual, it's not an assumption.
All right. But
If you see the bridges wobbling...
how do I know?
Look. My wife has left me. That's a fact. But to assume and to go into all kinds of frenzy about it, hate her, jealousy, all that are assumptions, have no value. The fact is she has left.
Their reactions must be assumptions.
The reactions, all those are, which cloud the fact. And therefore waste of energy. Right? So that. So any opinion, any assumption, formula is a waste of energy. And I see to observe a fact I need all the energy. My wife has left me. To understand that fact, I need tremendous energy, which must not be wasted in any assumption. Right?
What do we mean by understanding the fact? Exactly.
No, I don't know what it means, but I realize that the fact that my wife has left me, what is involved in that leaving me, to understand that I need tremendous energy. But to say I'm jealous, she's an awful woman, and all that business that goes on is a waste of energy.
By understand the fact, you mean understand your reactions at that time, the nature of it?
Yes, sir. Well, the fact that my son is dead, my wife has left me, what is involved in the fact? If I say, well, she shouldn't have left me, I'm jealous, and the man is a brute, she's really the most awful, and so on, I'm really not facing the fact. She has left me. What is involved in that fact? My loneliness, my sense of dependency, all that's involved in it. And to understand that, I need tremendous energy, right? Therefore, assumptions are waste of energy, right? This is not a conclusion. I see that this happens, right? I see any form of assumption, conclusion, etc., is waste of energy. And therefore, my mind says, but you know more. You follow? It's a waste. What's the point of it? Right? So if I can do that, I have no conclusion, no assumptions about anything. Which doesn't mean I'm vague, I'm idiotic, I'm moronic and absent-minded. On the contrary. Can I live like that? Find out, sir. And act that way, you follow? Act from there, not from a conclusion, assumption. We're getting into it, right?
this means no imagination,
No, no.
speculation, no explanation inwardly, no description?
Unless it's
included?
factual. The bridge fell because the timber was weak, it had rotted in the rain.
But
It's
factual,
factual.
that's kind of, you know,
Yeah, but
my wife
imagination
died and
doesn't
I'm lonely,
necessarily
that's
involve coming
factual
to
in
a
a sense, but
conclusion.
it's a conclusion.
It's what you do with that imagination.
Why do I want imagination?
I think if I can visualize it clearly enough, I can understand it. That's the
Which is,
conclusion.
you see, he's coming to a conclusion.
Sometimes it comes whether we want it or not.
No, sir. Go into it, sir. Look at it very closely. Can you, sir, live without any assumption? She is my wife and I have right over her. And the wife says, you are my husband. Hold it. No, sir, this is not so. It's a tremendous thing we are tackling. You can't just brush it off. We all live that way.
All morality is assumption.
Of course. So it's the most dangerous thing what we are saying. It upsets the whole system. So can you and I live that way?
We have to.
And that,
You sound sad. He sounds resigned.
It's the end.
which means I have to watch myself like a hawk all the time. Keep awake, not to get caught in an assumption. Hmm? And keeping awake is the most safest thing, right?
That's what a cat does.
You need the cat.
I think I would find myself using all my energy trying to rationalize my assumptions into fact.
Which is again assumption.
I really would. I would be sitting there thinking, well, now, is that really an assumption or is that a fact?
No, but you can see very quickly what is an assumption.
Can you see very quickly what is an assumption?
Oh, obviously, sir. No? I am British. I am what? Brahman. I am this. I am that. I am. My opinion. Nixon should not be the president, but somebody else, and so on and on and on. Those are all obviously conclusions. So I learn by keeping awake, not by having conclusions, assumptions. So keeping awake makes me learn. So learning is the doing, right? In the doing, I'm learning. I don't know. Huh? Haven't they experimented with this in some factories where they are given and learn as they are doing it? Given the material, whatever they do, as they are doing, they are learning. They are much more productive than the man who merely, because he's interested then.
And there's not as much effort involved. When you have to, if you come to with assumptions, then you have to draw from your memory. It's work.
Yeah, that's right. So now find out, sir, if you can live without assumption. Not a follow. Find out. Bore into it. It means never taking anything for granted. Which means you never fall into a habit. Now go into it. It opens the door to a tremendous lot.
That would wipe away fear, wouldn't it? Fall away.
Go into it. You will see what is involved in this extraordinary thing.
Why do you say habits are assumptions?
Of course. I scratch. One probably wants it. There was a scratch and now I've got in the habit, I keep on scratching.
Where does assumption come
from? Look, I have assumed that there is some pain going on there.
That isn't an assumption, is it?
Some habits are conclusions.
No, smoking is not a conclusion. Smoking is simply a habit.
Which is what?
Where does
go into which is what?
Which is the pursuit of a pleasure.
Go push into it, you will see it, sir.
It's a subtler conclusion, much subtler.
It's a mechanism that relieves some kind of tension or anxiety or pain.
Not the beginning.
But you have a foregone.
That is the assumption.
Yes.
That it is such
There are assumptions can become habits, like the assumption that a black man is somehow inferior. That can become a habit. But a habit isn't always an assumption.
Doesn't matter. Now I want to find out if I can live a day, one day is enough, without any assumption. Which means I must be awake during that whole day, not to be caught in the habit of assumption.
Yes.
That's all.
And I can be active in that state of mind.
Only in that.
So my action isn't following conclusions. My action isn't following conclusions, is it?
Then you are acting. Then is not from a conclusion, but acting is the very doing at that moment, without a conclusion.
Yes.
I don't know. Huh?
Yes. So what am I acting from?
Huh?
What is it that I'm acting?
Perception.
You are seeing and therefore doing. This is there's tremendous lot in this.
You can only see what's happening now. What if you? Sometimes don't you have to plan? Think about something you're going to do later on.
Yes, we have to plan because I have to go to Europe. Obviously.
Then aren't you getting away from fact and into speculation?
No. On the contrary, I plan with tremendous watchfulness. So there is no friction afterwards. Also, lots of things.
Also, too, you plan, like that planning isn't an assumption. If something else came up that seemed right at the moment, then you wouldn't have to go to Europe.
So do leave all that alone. Find out if you can live one day without assumption.
I think that will take, I know it will take tremendous effort.
Oh no, then you are lost.
That's assumption.
Then you are certainly lost. I've learned this morning that an assumption, conclusion, a formula, an opinion, a judgment, a conditioning separates, isolates. And this isolation is the most dangerous form of living. And I see it is not a conclusion, it's a perception, it's intelligence that says, look what you're doing, you old fool. And that says, now, that intelligence, being awake, says, can I live that way? And not caught in any habit, even for a single day. And if I have a habit of 10 years, I break it immediately.
If we keep going on making assumptions and living according to conclusion, does that mean that we just haven't perceived the situation clearly
That's
enough?
right, that's right. The situation here is something very simple, sir. As long as you are an American and I am a Hindu, which are conclusions, assumptions, we must fight each other, right? And that aggressive spirit is the most dangerous. It may have been useful at one time to unify the people. You follow what I mean? To keep the tribe together. But now it's the most destructive thing, right? So I see that. That's not a conclusion. So I said to myself, by Joe, can I live that way?
And it's not a matter of saying I should live that
No.
way. Striving to live
Oh, that's
that way.
all out. I'm not interested in how it should or I must.
Good boss gloves.
So is there an action without conclusion? The communist who has concluded that whatever he has concluded, what Lenin said, what Marx said, what Stalin said, all that, they are all conclusions. And according to that, I have been brought up and I am living there according to that conclusion. Can I see? I see how dangerous it is, the foolishness of it, the unintelligence of it, perceive it, and I break all that instantly. I'm no longer a communist or a Catholic. And therefore, whatever habits I've had for the last 10 years, I instantly gone. Because now I've got tremendous energy, which is no longer wasted on conclusions, right? Oh. If I've got a habit, I give all my attention to it and never again comes back. You tried, sir. You can see how quickly it works. Somebody told me I had a habit, a mannerism. And I watched very carefully because I hate to have manners. You know what I mean? And you bet it is over. It's not a conclusion, it's not a drill, it's not an effort. I said, by Jove, there it is. I watched it.
It's over while one watches it, but one can't watch it all one's life.
No, watch. No.
You don't have
You don't
to.
have to really watch it.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
Here it is. I have lived a way, a life on assumption. Now, I have understood that I'm going to see if I can live differently. Without any assumption. And to do that, I need energy, and therefore, any assumption is a waste of energy. I'm going to watch now. I'm going to keep awake the whole day to see if I've got any opinion about anything.
I'd be like she said, hung up trying to decide whether or not it was an opinion or whether or not it was a fact.
Which?
I think I'd be hung up trying to decide whether or not it was an opinion or a fact.
No.
If you can get rid of it, it's an opinion. If it's still there when you've got rid of it, it's a fact. Like your wife leaving you. You can't think it out of existence. But the fact that she's bad for leaving you, if you stop thinking she's bad, she's no longer bad.
Thinking in adjectives, all opinions, good, bad, better, because.
In assumption, there is always feeling, isn't there? So, liking and disliking.
Go into it, so you'll find out lots in it.
But there's feeling in fact, too.
No.
Isn't it? If you're hungry.
There's feeling about fact. Hunger is a fact.
And there's a feeling in it.